Hi everyone and welcome to Valley View Living. My name is Megan. I have 6 kids and live out in the country in New South Wales, Australia. And yes, I am starting today with a towel wrapped around my head while I do the farm chores. Keeping it real as always. So there's a bit of a story there. We had either not had water in our tanks or we had not had power to pump the water into the house or to heat it for a little while, a couple of days. So the first chance I had to jump into a hot shower, I took. You better believe I took it. But unfortunately there was still, well, you know, it's not unfortunate, it's just the way it is. There were still hungry cows wanting to be fed right after that shower, so had to pop the wet, clean hair up and jump out into the paddock to give them their morning hay. So I started this day with a mushroom omelette, and that was a lovely way to start. And just as we were about to get going with some other farm chores, we were taking some scraps out to the pigs this morning right after breakfast, we were met with a lovely surprise. And that is that our sow, she is our youngest sow, the daughter of our older sow, was in labour. So we discovered she was pregnant, I don't know, maybe 8 to 10 weeks ago, and this is her first time birthing. So we just went out to feed them this morning, and I don't know, she was kind enough and comfortable enough to give us a front row seat here. She does actually have an enclosed shed that she could have chosen to birth in, but she just hung out in the paddock right here, which is just close to where we feed her every day. And she, interestingly enough, she buried her head under some hay. I'm thinking that was just so, I don't know, maybe she felt a bit safer that way, cut out a bit of the stimulus around her and make her feel a bit more quiet and safe and calm. And yeah, so we headed out there and she was just in the middle of it. She had already had 1 healthy live piglet, and there were 5 more to come over the next hour or 2. So it was amazing to watch, and I called all the kids out there, and that was a good start for school for the day. That was a great science lesson, biology lesson. And we all just gathered around, and very quietly, of course. We did not want to disturb Sally while she was going about this. But we just kept our distance and watched, and it truly was really fascinating. And I'm very happy to say that she came through just fine. And in fact, all of the piglets came through just fine as well, which is not always the way with birthing sow or with pigs. You often hear there is a runt in the litter, quite common, but not in this litter. Every one of those 6 piglets is fat and healthy and thriving. So we just left her alone to get on with it, but once it appeared, I don't know, maybe this was 2 hours after we first started watching, I just wanted to poke my head a bit closer and see, you know, make sure everybody was feeding, nobody was getting smothered or anything like that, and that Sally herself was doing okay. You could see she's absolutely exhausted. She is fine. And now, as of editing this video, she's just trotting around the paddock, you know, doing just fine. But you can see how tired she was. She did not want to do anything but lie and rest. She reminds me of myself right after giving birth there, you know, just burying my head under the blankets and breastfeeding and go away, leave me alone. So she was just fine, and 6 beautiful little piglets there as well. It's always so exciting. I mean, I was going to say for the kids, but it's so exciting for me too. I love seeing the patterns that we get, seeing the piglets, how healthy they are. They're utterly adorable. So any day when there are babies born on the farm is a good day. But of course, the kitchen beckons. And I'm just restocking a little bit here. Yesterday we got our fruit and veggie box delivered, and we include a few cartons of eggs with that. So I'm just going to go ahead and get the egg skelter filled up, and then I also have to replenish my salt supply here in the kitchen. So I've just got to top up my jar with some sea salt, and then we will get on with our hot meal for the day. It's been such an eventful morning. I am pushing any kind of formal school to after lunch today. So we are going to make a busy mum's lasagna. Now by that I just mean that I am using cans and I am using bottles for the actual bolognese sauce. I find that this is a pretty filling, enjoyable meal that I can put together fairly quickly. I mean, a lasagna is never going to be a 5-minute meal, but it is something that I can multitask while I'm getting the sauces together, the bolognese and the bechamel, and then I can assemble and have this in the oven certainly in less than 20 minutes. So I'm using some of our home-raised beef here. I did request a lot of that steer returned as beef mince because it's so versatile. I can definitely use that for a couple of meals every week, easy. Tacos, lasagnas, bolognese, all kinds of things. Even in stir fries, it's really delicious. So I've just defrosted 1 kilogram last night, and I did not have a plan last night as to what I would do with it. But I woke this morning and I just wanted to make lasagna. And the nice thing for me about making this for lunch is that I can feed the family this lasagna for lunch, and it's big enough that I don't have to cook again for dinner time. I mean, I might make something small. I will cut up some fruit and some veggies, and I will certainly help the kids to have some sourdough toast. They can have cheese and crackers and that kind of thing. But there's also going to be leftovers. So anybody who wants a hot meal again for dinner is welcome to help themselves or ask for assistance to have that lasagna for dinner. So while I have got the bolognese cooking, and I keep it so super simple on these busy days, and that is just browning off the beef mince, adding in a couple of one store-bought sauce. You can buy these very cheaply from the supermarket. And I like to use 1 jar of the pasta sauce, and I like to use 1 jar of tinned tomatoes as well. I don't know, I just feel like that makes a good balance. It tastes good. And I do need to season that a bit as well. Now, while I've got the bolognese going on one hob on the stove, I really want to get in and get my bechamel going on the other hob on the stove at the same time. And that's part of what makes it quick and easy for me, is that multitasking. So my bechamel is super simple and quick and easy. I don't really have to baby this. I just melt a good probably 2 tablespoons of butter in a small pot. And when that is brown and bubbling, well, not brown, I should just say bubbling, I will add an equal amount of flour. So 2 tablespoons of flour. I've just used what I have, which is spelt flour at the moment. And I will cook that off for a couple of, not long, maybe 30 seconds, giving it a whisk and a stir just to cook the flour out so you can't taste it in the finished sauce. And then for me, I just put all my milk in at once. And for this sauce, I'm going to guesstimate I used between 1 and 2 cups. So maybe 1.5 cups, probably, maybe even 2 cups. Yeah, probably 2 cups. And I just whisk that in. And for me, I whisk it once well, then I will crank up the heat and I will come back a couple of minutes later. And I've never really had a problem with it being too lumpy or anything like that. It tends to just work out fine. It will be thick and smooth. And when it is thick, that's when I can add some cheese in. I'll just add a couple of handfuls of cheese. We save most of our cheese for the top of the lasagna because everybody gets excited about that cheesy, crunchy top. And also I do want to season that bechamel as well with some salt and pepper. And of course, something I love about lasagna is the way that I can just assemble it and then pop it in the oven and not come back for a good 40 minutes and it will be ready. I can do other things in that time. I don't have to stand at the stove taking care of it. I can go and take care of something else. And the reward, of course, of a lasagna, well, it's always been one of my favorites. I know it was the birthday meal I used to request when my mum offered to make me my favorite for my birthdays. I've always loved lasagna. And it's not the favorite of all of my kids. I would say we're probably a 50-50 split. Some kids will take it and some kids can leave it. But, that's fine. I don't see what there is to not love about cheese and pasta and beefy meat sauce, but everybody's different. Everybody's got different favorites. I can't wait until my sauerkraut is done fermenting so that I can serve my sauerkraut as an easy, ready-to-eat veggie side on the side of heavy cooked meals like this. It is absolutely perfect. But today we did get some yummy salady things in our veggie box yesterday, so I can put together a quick and simple green salad to have on the side. Now, often I have a lineup of little hands wanting to help with layering the lasagna because that's just plain fun. But today it was sunny and bright. after a day of, I guess, dramatic weather. It was very cold, it was grey, it was windy, super high winds, and we also had a power outage yesterday for most of the day. I think the power was out for about 14 hours, which will definitely get you biting your fingers when you've just had 150 kilos of meat stored in your freezers. And I do not have any kind of backup power supply. We don't own a generator or anything like that. So it's all just trusting trusting the process and hoping that that power will be sorted out before there are any issues. So after that very cold, grey and dramatic day yesterday of no power, the sunshine was beautiful and bright this morning. The first thing I thought of when I opened my eyes, you could just see how bright and sunny it was behind the blinds in my bedroom, and it was a beautiful way to wake up after all the drama. So the kids were very happy to play outside, and all that to say is I didn't have any helpers because they all wanted to play. So the wild winds must have knocked over some power supply. About 100 homes in our area lost power for that 14 hours. And the energy services are so great to come out and resolve that really quickly. We actually had them just driving from property to property, physically checking the lines because we're in such a rural area. I guess that's the way that it works best. And our water supply is wholly off grid. So we only have water tanks for water. We rely on rainwater. And if it is a dry spell or we're using too much, we have to purchase, I suppose it's town water. It is treated just like town water and it can be delivered out to our property, but it costs these days a few $100s to get that done. And that water supply that would get delivered would only last about 2 weeks on average. So it can be very expensive, and you do have to conserve water, or you find yourself just blowing the budget buying this essential. So the thing about the water supply, though, is if there is no electricity to the house, we can't power the pump that pushes the water from the tank to our house. So, of course, we also can't heat it because, well, it's not of course, but in our case, we have an electric water heater, not gas. So it's not heated either during that time. So yesterday was a bit of a juggle, trying to get everybody fed and managing a kitchen with no hot water and no water at all for most of the day. And that just makes cooking so difficult, doesn't it? It's really about how am I going to wash these dishes, mostly. That's what I find so difficult about cooking without running water or electricity. Our gas stove, thankfully, does still work. So that's pretty awesome to know that even in a power outage, we can cook. It actually also made me take stock of what we have available to eat if there was no way to cook or there was no way to heat things. Of course, I couldn't bake anything. I have a gas cooktop, but I don't have a gas oven. So I was limited to what I could fry up or boil up on the cooktop. And it really made me realize that being mostly an ingredients house, as they call it, there's not much that I can put together for sort of, I guess, between meals or snacking or a hot meal that we can eat without cooking it. I guess I'm thinking mostly snacks. It was snacks that I noticed. The only thing that we could really snack on, and I suppose this is super healthy really, would be raw fruits or veggies. Nothing wrong with that, right? But my kids, I suppose, and myself, we're kind of spoiled. We love baking. We love cooking things in the oven. So it did make me think maybe I should think about some kind of shelf-stable foods in my pantry that are still pretty healthy, pretty tasty, and make good snacks. I'm not sure, though, because anytime I buy processed foods that I keep in the pantry, say I buy chips, I love those avocado oil corn chips and similar tallow cooked potato chips, things like that, they just disappear. We don't have any self-control or discipline around them. The kids don't, of course, they're kids, but also I'm going to wholly blame myself. I don't really either. I really love to eat things like that. So if I buy them, they get eaten quick. And I'm also not that great at if my kids do the, can I please have this? 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 Ad nauseum. I'm just not that great at standing firm against it. It's an extra headache for me. It's such hard work to just constantly just be, no, no, no. They really do wear me down, and I guess they know it. So there you go. Now you know my weaknesses as a mum. So I find it much easier just not to stock the house with a whole bunch of treat foods or processed foods, because then we will just eat them. I'm not very good at making sure we have big gaps in between. So I have made just the simplest green salad to serve with this lasagna, my favorite side for lasagna. Being such a heavy, creamy, meaty dish, I love to have some raw veggies on the side. Now, I don't keep prepared salad dressings in the house. I just find them too expensive. If they're ingredients that I like, they're just too expensive. So I just spritz a little bit of apple cider vinegar and some salt over that salad, and it really just tastes like a zesty Italian style vinaigrette. The most that I will ever do is just make some mayonnaise. So we just had that on the side. Now, I wanted to show you these beautiful crimson rosellas. We have got so much beautiful bird life passing through our property at the moment during winter. They seem to just be more of them, and a wider variety during the colder months. So they let me get pretty close, and that was a nice treat while I go out here to let the chickens out at lunchtime. Still no eggs. The girls look wonderful, healthy, strong and fit, and I'm just waiting to get some eggs from these lovely ladies. But also I'm planning ahead to the future, where I really want to incubate probably 2 dozen eggs. I would say 2 dozen, maybe 3 dozen over the coming month or two. And I do have a good setup here that I can then put the chicks under heat. I can move them out into a big chicken tractor, and then we'll work out what we're going to do with the roosters and what we're going to do with the hens. So I'm interested in incubating some Australorps, I think. We've gone out to check on the garlic, and it has sprouted. It's looking wonderful and healthy, and that's really exciting. It makes you think of summer in the middle of winter. So thanks for joining me today as I go about my homemaking and my homesteading tasks here. I really do enjoy and appreciate your company. If you have enjoyed this content, please feel free to like or comment or subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!